What's the best way to come up with a good business idea? Will it come as a flash of inspiration, or can you just copy what someone else is doing? Does your idea have to be unique? Are good ideas always obvious, or do they take a bit of work? And where do other businesses get their ideas anyway? If you're thinking about setting up your own business, and maybe even entering the Student Enterprise Awards, then getting a great idea for a product or service is one of the first steps you'll need to take. But a great idea can take loads of different forms. Have a think about some businesses that are really successful. Some companies make money no matter if the economy is going through a boom or a bust. You might pick a company that you've seen advertise, or you might pick one whose product you just bought. What's the idea that's central to what they offer customers? And where do you think they got the idea from? And how important is it to think about customers anyway? Is there a market already out there, or do you need to create it? And how will you go about convincing people to buy your product or service? Will your business sell a physical product, or will it offer a service? Will the product be available online or in shops? Or will you sell it directly to customers? And how important is it to get the price right? That's a lot of questions, but here's one last one. What's your business idea? You might be wondering how you're going to come up with a good idea for a business, or you might even have an idea already. Let's have a look at some tips and tricks for coming up with good ideas and for developing them into successful businesses. There's no one way to come up with a good idea. You might get inspiration from something you enjoy doing anyway. Maybe if you like music, you could come up with something that links in with that. Or if you like sports, you'll come up with a product that's sports related. It's a real advantage if you come up with a business idea in an area that you're already interested in. Not only will it be a bit more enjoyable to work on, but you might have some insider knowledge that gives you a head start on the competition.
Hello, my name is Tim Rooney and I created the coolest new snack food on the planet called Surf Seeds. The history of Surf Seeds is I designed a range of breads for a supermarket. And one of the breads I designed was a bread called Fibernet, and it was a 5-seed bread. I did research on the seeds and found out that they're the coolest little dudes on the planet. They're full of omega and antioxidants, and they suck up all the nutrients from the earth. And I went, these are brilliant. Why aren't people eating them? And people weren't eating them because they weren't cool. So I said, how do you make seeds cool? And I wanted them loose, and I want them easy to consume, and I want them easy to use. And that's where the Surf Seed container, the resealable bit came in. It had to be easy accessible, that they had to look and feel cool, which is surfing, which is probably one of the coolest, fastest growing sports on the planet. And so I wanted to kind of carry that energy and enthusiasm for a sport over into a snack food that was going to go out and take over the world.
Hi, my name's Nicola Byrne and I set up 11890. Well, 11890 was started when we were on a family holiday. In the UK, they were deregulating the direct inquiries market in the UK, and there's about 70 players entering the market. And in Ireland, we only had 2. So I kind of figured, well, that's a good reason to go into the market. There's only 2, so there must be room for at least a third. And so 11890 kind of came into existence as an idea. I owned an advertising and media company for about 6 years prior to that, and had no direct telecoms experience, and just decided, well, I'd like to try that.
I'm Pádraig Doherty from Moyne Community School in County Longford, and I'm here today with Bird Bungalows. We're manufacturing and selling bird nesting boxes. The ideas came from an idea generation session where we looked at possibilities for products that we might be able to sell to the public.
Hi, we're Bird Bungalows.
If you look for problems that are out there, if you go through a daily newspaper, you will find some issue that is causing a problem to somebody. Maybe then yourself and your students can do something to solve that problem.
Talking to other people about possible ideas is also really useful. You're going to need to sell your creation, so it's no harm to start talking to potential customers early on. Have a go at asking your friends and family about things that they'd like to buy. You might find that there's a huge demand for something that you wouldn't have thought of otherwise. You could always check out the competition as well. Is there a business out there that you really admire and would like to be like? Why not try to think of something similar you could do better? Just because you're starting out doesn't mean you can't learn from other more established businesses. And when you are coming up with ideas, don't hold yourself back. Think big. You mightn't be in a position to take over the world with your idea yet, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't try. And even if you rule out some crazy, over-ambitious idea, it could spark off a different idea that is more doable. Another tip is not to just copy what other teams in the Student Enterprise Awards have done before. Not only will the judges have seen it already, but you probably won't enjoy working on it as much because it's not really your idea. It might be easy to copy, but your business doesn't stand much chance of success if you're doing something that's been done before. That's why you need to innovate and find a new angle if you do decide on something that has a lot of competition already. Sometimes coming up with an idea isn't always easy, especially if you're under pressure. That's where brainstorming comes in. Basically, that just means that you get together as a team and try to come up with an idea that you all think is good and will work. The workbook contains some ideas to get you started. Usually, you need to discuss loads of ideas before you can decide which is the best one. There are lots of different ways to run a brainstorm. One good way to kickstart the whole thing is by using post-it notes to collect ideas. Get everyone to write down the kind of sector they'd like the business to be in. Think in terms of broad ideas, like travel, or music, or sport, or clothes. Then stick the post-it notes up on the wall. Hopefully, everyone will have lots of ideas, and you can put each idea on a separate piece of paper and stick them all up. Then, when everyone's done, get people to vote for their favourite 3 ideas by putting a tick on the related post-its. Before long, it'll become clear what people's favourite ideas are, because they'll have the most ticks. You can then have a chat about those top few ideas and see which one would make the best business sense and what kind of thing you could do.
Seems like a good idea.
Yeah. We can get like blank ones really easy.
Yeah.
If we just get white ones,
We could just write on them.
And we'd have to make up our own ideas. We can't just like take other people's ideas,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Because that will be like not
want it to
selling
be
the sale
original,
goes
because
to the other
I'm
people.
sure other people have done this before.
Yeah, but like we have to have our own thing, saying like our own things.
Another way to come up with lots of ideas is to use a technique called mind mapping. Mind maps, or spider diagrams as some people call them, are really useful when you have a general idea for a type of business but haven't decided on an exact product or service yet. The first step is to write the relevant keyword in a circle in the middle of a piece of paper. So if you're trying to come up with an idea for something to do with t-shirts, you'd write t-shirt in the circle. Then you draw other lines coming out of that circle, kind of like the branches of a tree. These lines represent ideas related to the main one. Then you draw more lines branching off to represent even more related ideas. From all these ideas, you'll hopefully come up with something that will be a great product or service.
Tea.
Tea. That's actually good.
Because it sounds like t-shirts.
You know what it is.
Oh, because it's like a pun.
What about slogans?
Yeah.
One of the most important things to remember about a brainstorm is that every idea is valid. It's very easy to knock other people's ideas, but that usually stops people coming up with more ideas. Instead, make sure that you have a chat about all the ideas, even if you think they're a bit crazy or boring. You might find a way to change them into something that's a very strong idea. Not every good idea is going to make a great business. A good way to pick the best idea is to look for problems with the ideas that you've come up with. That sounds very negative, but it can have a very positive result by making sure you don't waste your time and money. It basically means taking a step back and looking at the idea with critical eyes. You should ask yourself things like, are there enough customers out there for this? Will they pay enough so that we can make a profit? It's also worth looking at who your main competitors might be at this early stage.
We could do like a web search to see if it's been done before, you know. Just look it up on.
And then when we find it.
If your competition is going to wipe the floor with you because they can sell the same product for less, then you might as well find out now. But you might figure out a way that you can convince people to pay more for your product if you offer better customer service, for example. So it mightn't be all bad news, even if you do have serious competition. To make this bit easier, you can use the worksheet in the Student Enterprise Awards workbook. Once you've decided on your idea, you're going to need to figure out how to make it happen. Start planning now how you're going to bring your idea to market. Branding and marketing is going to be key to making sure people find out about your product or service. You'll need lots of good creative ideas to make your branding and marketing stand out from the crowd. So brainstorming and idea generation will be useful later on too.